sure I got that right. Yes, it is right. Spilling the tea. It seems quite warm here, doesn't it? Well, the sun is right at me. Drinking tea, probably spilling it. While I drive. So not really looking at the screen at the moment, guys. I am literally driving. But basically, we are doing Spilling the Tea travel story from Laos. Laos. So, this one time, it always starts like that, right? This one time, Dora was backpacking around Asia. I was doing Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Laos was the end of my trip. I believe I was going for 1 month. Hey, Deb! It's very, very late for you, or very, very early for you. You can't sleep, Deb? So, Deb, you're going to hear a travel story from Laos. So I'm really not going to engage much in the chat because I can't really see the chat very well. So I'm just going to tell you a travel story, okay? Maybe that will put you to sleep or give you nightmares, one or the other. Some of my travel stories do that. So I was in Laos. Laos was the end of my trip. I was there for a month in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. So Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. And Laos is still one of those little countries that's it's not very popular. Most people go to Thailand or Bali, or Vietnam's quite popular, Cambodia's quite popular. Laos not much, but it is on the tourist trap. Many people that travel through Southeast Asia will put Laos on the map because it's a great country. It's pretty cheap, and Laos people are very, very nice. It's a Buddhist country and very, very, very friendly people. Very cheap, I said, right? And what's Laos popular for? Well, they've got some beautiful Buddhist monuments. Pagodas, they call them. I think they're called pagodas. Do I call them pagodas? I think so. I can't remember. But they're temples, right? They're Buddhist temples. And they've got this amazing place called Buddha Park. Now, interestingly enough, my dad was a bit of a backpacker back in the day, back in the early 70s, right? He backpacked around and he actually went to Laos back in the 70s. I went to Laos in probably the year 2000, no, maybe even before that actually, yeah, probably in the, yeah, before, probably, oh my gosh, when was it? 1998 or something like that. I was about 30 years old. So basically, so my dad had been to this place called Buddha Park, which is in just outside of Vientiane. Vientiane is the capital of Laos. And so I really wanted to go to this Buddha Park because my dad had been there. Now, my dad was alive at this time, so I just thought it'd be really, really cool to go to a place that my dad has been and then, show him photos of what it was like now. And Vientiane has a beautiful Buddhist temple in the main town. And the other famous thing to do in Vientiane, there's actually a couple of famous things to do. There's a place called Vang Vieng. Vang Vieng is where the main bit of this travel story is going to be told. Vang Vieng is on a river, and there's these beautiful towers of beautiful mountains, and it's really, really spectacular. And then another place that's really, really popular in Laos is La Prabang. I'm not pronouncing that right, but La Prabang. So that's kind of the north of Thailand. It's on the Mekong River. So the Mekong River is very, very famous because it's very, very close to the Chinese border and near the Golden Triangle. So the Golden Triangle is Laos, Thailand, and China. They meet up like this. And in that little section there, I believe they have casinos. And it's very, very cheap, and they're all, they're all laundering money, right? And around about laundering money is also drugs. There's also, I've been told that, be careful around the Mekong River because you could see dead bodies floating down. Well, that's what they told me back in the day, okay? Because apparently there's a lot of fights around these casinos, and the dead bodies get chucked in the water and they just float down the river. So anyway, that was my thoughts of Lac Prabang. But Lac Prabang is also very, very popular for, they have a lot of Buddhist monasteries there, and they actually feed the Buddhist monks there. Well, then they feed them in most places, right? But what's famous about Lac Prabang is you can actually, in the morning, about 5:30 in the morning around sunrise, if you line the streets, you'll watch people, the locals, feeding the monks. So basically they stand or sit on the side of the road with, you know, bowls of rice, stir fries, different drinks, and then the monks walk past and they have bowls, and basically, you know, you serve some rice in the bowl and some, you know, whatever else you're giving them, or give them a bottle of water, or, you know, toothpaste, or different things like that. So I believe, I mean, obviously I'm not Buddhist, but you can still participate. You can buy things like, you know, buy some rice and then, you know, give them some rice. So I did do that. It was actually quite interesting, actually. But that's not where this story comes about, okay? So this story comes about in Vang Vieng. Vang Vieng is like the party place of Laos. So a lot of people go to Bali to party. A lot of people go to Thailand to party. A lot of people go to Laos to Vang Vieng. Now, Vang Vieng is very, very picturesque. It's very, very small, and it's expect a thumbs up that the connection came back. Otherwise, I'm talking for no reason because it won't actually video to record. Can someone just give me a thumbs up? It says there's someone in the background there. Testing, testing. Someone tell me if I'm live. You're looping. Ah, crap. Am I back, Deb? Am I back? Am I back? I've reconnected. Let me know if I'm back, Deb. I'll take this opportunity to have some tea, right? So I'm drinking chai masala. I'm back now. Thank you, Deb. So I'm drinking chai masala this afternoon because it is 3:22 p.m. in the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon. I'm actually on my way to a clothes swap party. So what that is like going to your friend's house, bringing some clothes that you don't want anymore, and just giving them into, like, putting them in a pile in the middle of the house or the room or something like that. Or she's got to set up in the backyard, actually. And everyone brings a whole lot of clothes, and you can take whatever you want. You don't have to take anything if you don't want to, but you take your back, basically. Donate them to an off shop or a thrift shop, and then I'll, you know, potentially come home with some random bit of clothing that I don't need. So that's what I'm doing this afternoon. But anyway, go back to my story. So we're on Vang Vieng. There's this beautiful river down the side of this town. The town is not very built up. Well, back when I was there in the 90s, the naughty 90s, it wasn't built up. Now I probably wouldn't recognize it because it has been like 20 odd years, okay? So it's probably been built up a lot more. I was there, it had just got popular as a party destination, okay? When I say party destination, I'm talking very, very cheap beer. So beer Lao is the beer that people drink there, beer Lao. But they also do really cheap cocktails, bucket drinks, just drinks are really cheap. Also drugs. Obviously, I don't partake taking drugs, but people around me, I know, were doing mushrooms, you know, extra things, okay? Now, I was there staying at a backpacker hostel, and the big thing that people do there, and why I wanted to go there, not because it was a party place, because I like to party, right? But, you know, it's not how I travel. I don't go to particular places because I want to go to a party, right? I go to particular places for different landmarks and things to see. But this place has a special thing where basically you pay to float down the river. So there's a bit of a current. Now, this can be dangerous, so people have died doing this. I didn't know this at the time, okay? So this is one of these things that you don't tell your mum about until you come back out of it, okay? So basically, you pay for this tour, I guess. Basically, what you're doing is you're paying for someone to drive you up the river, and they give you a big tractor tire, and they blow it up, and then you sit your ass in it, and you float down the river. Now, can't tell you how far this river was. It's quite far. It took like a good couple of hours, I'm sure. But it takes you longer because when you're floating down the river, people will chuck in a big bamboo stick. So you hold onto the bamboo stick, and they pull you in to the side of the river. And then at the side of the river, they have makeshift bars. And guess what they're selling you? Beers. Probably other things too, but I didn't partake in that. So this is what's really bad, right? Okay, and this is back in the 90s, okay? But they sold you glass beers. So the big ones, not your little bottles, but your big bottles of beer. So you pull in, you pay them some money, and they give you a beer, and then you start floating down the river drinking the beer. And then you get to another bar, you give them the beer, and then you get another beer, obviously pay for it. So that's the attraction about Vang Vieng for me, was to float down the river drinking these beers. Now, it's in the sun, it's hot, so, you come back very happy, right? Now, in the backpacker hostel, I met a lady, I think she was German, I can't really remember. No, actually, she's from Scandinavia, actually. I think she could have been from Denmark, Deb. Deb's family is from Denmark originally. So anyway, she was Danish, very, very blonde, lovely, lovely chick. I can't remember her name. It was very difficult to remember. My name is very difficult to remember also, so I used the fake name of Sophie. It's not really a fake name. I'll tell that story another time, why I have the name Sophie. But when I travel, I do normally use the name Sophie. Now I use Dora, it's a lot easier. But Sophie is a name that I go by when I travel, because Mutiara is very hard to say. And this is before the name Dora was my nickname. So anyway, I met this lady, or this friend, and we went up the river, we floated down, we're having lots of beers, and I told her how I saw some cute guy walking through town the day before I turned up. And I said, oh man, they were so good looking. I said, I swear they were probably Scandinavian, because they were speaking kind of like, I couldn't understand the language they were talking, but I just thought maybe they looked like, they were, some kind of Scandinavian, like Swedish, or I don't know why I thought that, okay? But I said it to her. Anyway, so when we were floating down the river, the guys weren't floating down the river. They were walking in the, like, not too far away from the town of Vang Vieng. I'm just driving past a car meetup. Yeah, interesting. A whole lot of old cars. So anyway, I told her about these guys, and they were walking by the banks while I was floating down. And I'm like, hey, they're those guys. And she goes, they so look like they're from, Scandinavia. Anyway, she starts talking to them also, and they start speaking her language. So they were Scandinavian. But they were like, oh, they were really good looking. So we ended up having some beers with them that night, and we went over so this river has a little island, and basically you walk over on little makeshift bridges. Now, nothing's health and safety here, okay, guys? Like, it's very primitive. Back in the day, right? I'm saying early 90s, late 90s, sorry. Very, very primitive. You walk over on a couple of planks of wood, and they had probably a couple of railings of bamboo so you didn't fall. And mind you, most people are drunk when they go over to this island, okay? I'm gonna be honest. So I was pretty happy. So anyway, this island they were playing, there's a particular song that it's one of my favorite songs, one of my top 10 favorite songs. It's called Enjoy the Silence. It's by a couple of different DJs that play it. There's a couple of different remixes, but the remix that I really, really like is by Sasha and Digweed. And oh my gosh, guys, I still can picture this night to myself, right? The sunset is setting. I'm sitting out there on this little island. Like, it's probably more not an island, it's a bank. It's probably a sandbank in the middle of this little island. Like, I don't think they had a toilet there. It was just a makeshift bar. Like, it's really primitive, okay? And there's hardly anyone on it by this time, because most people are so rotten drunk from literally going down the river in the sun and then they just write themselves off, right? So no one really pretty much makes it to sunset, which I'm surprised I made it to sunset, to be honest. So anyway, I made it to sunset. I don't even know who I'm with by this stage. No idea. Could have been by myself. But these Scandinavian lady I was with, she'd already gone to bed. The guys that we met at, on the banks, they had gone somewhere. Who knows? I think they'd gone to, do some drugs or something like that. But, obviously I went to the little island and I was very happy. I was listening to this song called Enjoy the Silence, and there was hardly anyone around. The sun was setting on these beautiful mountains. I do have a photo. It's a great photo of me. I don't know who took the photo of me. I have no idea. But it's a great memory. I look so chilled. It's just a really beautiful moment, right? Like, that's what photos are about. Like, just as, it takes you to a place. And, like, even though I haven't looked at that photo for a long time, I can still picture the photo more than I can even picture the time right now. But anyway, yeah, I remember the song very distinctly, how dodgy it was, the area. And, yeah, I mean, I guess, I was lucky I wasn't really drunk, right? But it was just a beautiful day. Now, the story adds because I then went up to Vang, but I'm not going to talk about that, okay? On my way home, on my way home, I stayed a couple of days in Vang Vieng. Not Vang Vieng, Vientiane, which is the capital of Laos. Vang Vieng is the middle place I went to. So I finished off in Vientiane, the capital, and I ran into these Scandinavian guys again. I mean, again, this is back before Facebook, okay? Otherwise, I would have had all their names and I would have been Facebook friends and I'd know all about, they got married and had children and blah, 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 But this is before Facebook, right? So I don't remember any of their names. I don't remember I don't even know where they're from. I can't even remember, right? But I've got photos of them. So anyway, and this is so funny. So I'm now by myself in a backpacker hostel, and I must have went out in the afternoon to do something. In the afternoon, you could watch the sunset on the Mekong River. So the Mekong River goes down to Vientiane too. Actually, no, it's not the Mekong River. It's not the Mekong River. The Mekong River goes up the top of Lac Prabang. So it's another little river that comes past Vientiane. It's not very pretty. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't very pretty, but it was just like sandbanks. But, you sat there, you watched the sunset, and there's like a little makeshift bar. So anyway, like I said, I've been watching sunsets for a long time with a beer. It's just something I love to do, right? So when I used to do it in Bali, it wasn't because it was like, oh wow, there's something different to do. I always loved, when I'm on holidays, on a trip somewhere, to go somewhere and watch the sunset with a beer. It's a beautiful thing to do, right? So anyway, when I was having a beer, I ran into these Scandinavian guys. So of course, have a chat, and we go to another bar. So I am one girl with about 4 different Scandinavian guys, and I was pretty sweet on one of them, but he was not interested in me at all. Not a clue. No, not interested in me at all. But that's all right. I don't care. So I was just hanging around with the blokes, right? And we were at a bar, and I think it was closing. So I don't know the story. I can't remember the story, but I don't think the capital is not like a big party area. Like, the bars were closing early, and we obviously wanted to drink some more. So someone said to us, oh, you can go to this other bar. So we get into the back of like these mini buses kind of thing, and we go to this other bar. And it's actually a brothel. Me and brothels. What is it with me and brothels? So a couple of my spilling the tea stories have been talking about brothels or all ladies of the night. So anyway, whatever. So we end up at a brothel. Obviously, I think there was a couple of females there. I don't really know. I can't remember. But, we had a couple of beers there. The guys were pretty, keen on hooking up with some women of the night. And then we ended up meeting another group of guys. So it's very interesting when you travel, right? Like, I was in my 20s actually. 27, I reckon, 27, 28. And I think I was friend zoned. I've been friend zoned a lot on trips. Like, I mean, it's not like I go on holidays to pick up guys. Not at all. Not at all. But you know, I seem to make a lot of guy friends on my trips. I mean, I have got a lot of guy friends in general. I like guys, and you know, they become, you know, good blokes, right? And you know, sometimes girls can be very bitchy. To be honest, so you know, I tend to make friends with guys easier. There's less drama. To be honest. So anyway, there's another group of guys, and we end up going back to this guy's apartment. Now, at this stage, I was probably a little drunk. Now, if my mum's watching this, she'd be like horrified, right? I was a little drunk, and they start doing cocaine, and I'm like, oh hell no, I ain't doing any cocaine, right? So I sat there. I actually think I fell asleep on the chair for a while, and all these guys are just, you know, doing coke around me, and you know, is this naive of me? Potentially. Am I lucky? Yes. Am I stupid? A lot of the time, yes. But you know, nothing happened, right? I mean, would I recommend doing that? Probably not. You know, um, and this is the thing, when you travel solo, you really do have to be careful, like, because you've got no one to look after you, right? Hey Susan, I can see Susan there saying hello. Oh, and there's my friend Karen. She's saying hello to YouTube over 40. Hey guys, I'm doing a series called Spilling the Tea, and I generally don't really interact with the chat very much because I'm driving, because it's probably to watch the screen and watch the road. And plus, when you're doing a horizontal live, you can't see the chat; it just goes really fast. So I'm not ignoring you, but I am kind of ignoring you. Okay, if I see you come up and say hello, I'll say hello. So anyway, Spilling the Tea is a travel story. Basically, Karen saying hello to Susan. Travel series where I just basically spill tea pretty much on myself while I'm driving, but also spill tea on travel stories. And I've done I think this is my 9th travel story. So they're always going to be like 20-minute bites or 20, 30-minute bites. They're not going to be long lives. So just a little bit of a ramble. And, you know, not too many people watch them, but some people do. I've got a couple of friends like my friend Marie from Meditation Motivation with Marie. She watches them most times and has a good old giggle. My mum, thankfully, hasn't watched them, thankfully, because I think if she watches half the ones that I talk about, she'd be like horrified. But anyway, let me continue on with my story. The guys around me are doing cocaine. I'm falling in and out of, you know, consciousness, probably because I'm so drunk. I shouldn't laugh. It's pretty serious. Like, it's not cool, Moriara. It's not cool, Moriara. But I guess this is where, you know, you really have to be careful. Like, it wasn't like I'd met these guys on the night, right? I'd seen them at a previous place in Vientiane, and I'd, you know, gone out drinking with them. I'd met them when I was completely, well, not really sober, but, you know, I'd checked them out. Yeah, so like I'd met them a few times over the last couple of days. So I guess it wasn't a random kind of stranger, kinda, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so anyway, by this stage, it's like 2 a.m. in the morning, okay? I'm in the capital of Laos, Vientiane, and the guys, I kind of wake up and like they're still, you know, they're still doing that, you know, and like I don't partake, right? I do not partake. I don't judge, but I don't partake. And I'd be horrified if anyone put any drinks near me. So I am very, very careful if I'm around these kind of people that I won't take any drinks from anyone, because if they're doing drugs, they could accidentally, by accident, put some stuff in my drink, and I would think that would be like, I'd be horrified, absolutely horrified. I'd want to kill them, basically. Um, so I probably didn't even have any drinks while I was at this person's house in a hotel. It was a hotel. So anyway, woke up and I thought, you know what? I need to go. This is 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm with a whole lot of weirdos. Not really, but like they're really kind of strangers, really. And I need to go. So anyway, I have no idea where I am. Now, this is, again, we're in the late 90s. Mobile phones weren't a thing. And I have to remember where my backpacker hostel is. I was only around the corner. I know that. I was only around the corner. But when you're tired and you're probably still drunk, you have no idea where you are, right? So get out of the hotel and I go outside. I'm kind of like shaking my head going, where the hell am I? and like everything's dark. Like Vientiane, like even though it's the capital of Laos, back in the late 90s, it wasn't very built up. It wasn't a very, as I said, it wasn't a very popular place as on the travel map as it is now. Now it's very popular. I probably wouldn't recognize it now, but back then there wasn't a lot. Yeah, there wasn't even a lot of street signs or street lights. So it was pretty dark. Now this is where it gets even. This is bad, right? I fell so bad. I fell in to what I think was like a sewage pipe. I didn't fall all the way in, but I fell halfway in. Like one leg went in. I don't know how I didn't hurt myself. It's probably because I was drunk. But I felt one leg in, my other leg was somewhere else, right? Thankfully I was in my 20s. I was probably very, very flexible. But one leg went in, it stunk. I'm just going to guess it was a sewage, or it's like some kind of drain that stunk really bad. So anyway, I pulled myself out of this drain, whatever I've stood in, and one of my leg is just covered in, I'm just going to say shit. It stunk. So anyway, here I am, 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm looking very unmade up because I'd probably fallen asleep at this hotel. So I probably had hair everywhere. Like I give a shit how I look anyway. But yeah, but now to add to it, I've got one leg that's stinky as shit, basically. So, and I'm like still like walking around going, where the fuck am I? Anyway, there wasn't many people on the street. There was no one to ask, but I kind of saw some landmarks and went, okay, that's that street. Okay, I think I'm around the corner. And I found my hotel. Now, am I proud of this story? Probably not. I'm going to tell it because it's a funny story, right? It's spilling the tea on something I did, back 30 years ago, which was pretty probably, stupid, daring of me back then. Would I do it now? Probably not. Would I recommend to do it? No. If my niece, did that, I'd be horrified. But, I'm here to tell another story, tell the story, and I'm probably going to tell many other stories like that. I'm very, very grateful that some of the things I've done, I've survived, and that, I have never, well, that I know of, been, close to anything really, really bad to happen. I've had some close calls to some, weird things. Like, for example, one time I was in Belgium, and I won't tell the story right now because I'm about to go, but I was walking like through these kind of suburban streets, and a guy from a house called out to me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about them another time. But it was a very interesting moment. I was like, do I actually go talk to him or do I not? I didn't. And I'm really glad I didn't. Okay. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. And if you're on a replay, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. I'm sidetracked because I'm watching the road, right, guys? Anyway, I'm off to I can't touch the phone right now because obviously in Australia we can't touch the phone. So I am going to be here for like another 5 minutes if you want to hang around. Or you don't need to. Trust me, you don't need to. I'm going to a clothes swap party. So basically I've got some clothes that I do not need anymore. I was going to take them to a thrift shop, an op shop. So my friend is having a party basically where you bring your bag of crap of clothes that you don't want, and then everyone else brings their bags of crap, and then you can sort through the bags of crap, and if you want something you can take it, if you don't want it you don't need it. But the idea is that basically all the clothes will be donated to an op shop at the end. It's an excuse really to have a drink with some of my friends and catch up. So some of these are my school friends, so I haven't seen my friend Joe for a little while, so it'd be good to see them. So anyway, that's where I'm off to this afternoon. And I just thought on my drive, I would do a spilling the tea. And yeah, I've got to say, I have very, very fond memories of Laos. Not so much of, going to a brothel and ending up with some random person's hotel room and then falling into like a sewage pipe. That's not so cool. But the actual bit of, floating down the river, on a tire, drinking beers was so much fun. And Paul D Australia and I, when we were in Bali, had a similar kind of vibe. not the same, but we were whitewater rafting, and we come in onto the side of the river, and then there's a makeshift bar, and we had a couple of bintang beers sitting on the river and listening to music. Actually, there's a karaoke there. Like, there was literally a big, like, there was no electricity, but they had a big ass karaoke machine. In Indonesia, they love their karaoke. So anyway, we're sitting there, Paul and I having a bintang beer, discussing our whitewater rafting adventure, because there was an adventure, trust me. That's another story I'll do, spilling the tea one day. And yeah, and our guide was singing karaoke. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, very, very cool in Vang Vieng. Unfortunately, I've heard stories that in the early 2000s, a few people have died in Vang Vieng, so they've had to tidy it up, and it's not as popular as it used to be. Like many places, they become really, really popular, and then they just, they come, very, very popular, and then someone dies, and they clean it all up, and it's not as exciting anymore. So what is dangerous about Vang Vieng and this river where you whitewater raft down it with a tire is that if the tide is too low, not that it's not on a river. I mean, it is a river, but it's not tidal. But if the water's too low, you can actually your bum can like rub against the rocks, so you can end up with a back injury or something like that. So you got to be careful. But some of those little bars that they pull you into with the bamboo poles, they would have they actually built big high diving poles, like high diving platforms, where basically drunk. This is so bad, but you're full of grog, right? And people would jump up onto they climb up onto these platforms and then jump into the water. And again, if the water wasn't high enough, because there wasn't enough rain, they would hit the bottom and literally break their back. And many people, I'm not saying many, but like a few people, drunk, did that and landed very wrong, or belly flopped and did something wrong, again, drunk, and actually hurt themselves or even died. So yeah, it's a thing. If you look it up, Vang Vieng in Laos doesn't have a very good name because of the stuff that happened there. Lots of drugs, lots of alcohol because it's cheap. Really, really beautiful place, beautiful river. But some of these kind of things to attract the more tourists, like jumping off platforms drunk, not really a cool thing to do. So that wasn't there when I was there, but I had heard that's what kind of transpired after I'd left. A lot more of those kind of things, activities. So yeah, not exactly safe activities to do. A lot of people OD. Actually, there was a story. Actually, it must be still popular because I believe a whole lot of English girls got bad alcohol. That's right. There was a story, right? A whole lot of girls, and I think some of them died. I think even some Australian girls. I think I got that right, guys. Anyway, all I'm saying is, yeah, you've got to be careful where you go drinking. I always buy bottles of beer that I can open them myself, because yeah, you can't trust people terribly. All right, guys, I am literally parking on the side of the road. So if I've got some people there, thank you for listening. I can now see the screen because I can turn the phone off. I don't know who's there. Now I can touch the screen and see if I can see some messages. I thought Dora was about to go. I was about to go, but I can't turn the phone off while I'm driving. So even though I'd finished my story, you can't, you're not, just like in New Zealand, you're not legally allowed to touch the phone. So I put the phone in not my glove box, but behind my steering wheel, so don't touch it. So I was just trying to be a good human being. So anyway, guys, thank you for being there. I know Deb was there originally. Thanks for being there, Karen. How you going, Karen, mate? I really loved today your one lie and two truths. I really liked that. That was fun. That was really fun. I may have just made someone not a moderator because I think something happened there. I don't know. Are you going? I am going. Yep, I stood in storage. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. As I said, I'm going to a clothes party. I brought a 0% beer with me because I'm just being a really good human at the moment and not drinking alcohol. Maybe till tonight because I've got some wine at home. Oh, terrible. But anyway, guys, hey, happy Mother's Day tomorrow for Karen and for Deb and for Susan. Have an awesome Mother's Day. I already had my Mother's Day celebration with my mum today. We had family lunch. So my sister came over, had her partner and my niece, and then Diego was there. So we just had yummy food. It was lovely. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. Mwah. Bye, guys.